What's up, everybody, and welcome to today's webinar. Sorry about the delay. I was having some technical difficulties, still am with my webcam. It decided to just not work about 30 seconds before we started today, so I was trying to buy as much time as I possibly could to try to figure it out. However, I could not. So I am a mysterious black square. You can look at Liana while I speak. So apologies for that, but it's what we got going on today. Anyway, I'm glad you're here, making it stick with micro content. If my webcam just decides to start working halfway through, hello. If not, I will continue to be a black square. But I'm really excited for what we got going on today. We're going to go over what micro content is with some exceptional examples. And then we'll go over an awesome use case of Saros using Saros, the micro content story. Then we'll look at the micro content in Saros using Saros and kind of dissect what went on behind the design, answering of your questions, and hand out a free template at the end of the course. So, excuse me, end of the webinar. I am Dallin. I'm the director of education here at Saros. When I don't have webcam issues, that's what I look like. That is also me crashing on a mountain bike. I found this just like popped up in my photos yesterday, and I was like, oh, that would be fun to share. That was me crashing and breaking a wrist. But anyway, I've been at Saros for a few years now. I am on the Educate team. You've probably been with me in some courses, in some other webinars, and all that kind of fun stuff. So I'm super glad to be here. But most importantly, let's get into micro content and what micro content is. You might be asking, what is it? Well, as defined by the Saros website, it is one of the many types of experiences that you can create in Saros, along with pitch decks, teasers, landing pages, reports, everything else. Micro content, as you can see, is listed at the very top because it is the most general and most universal type of content that you can create in Saros. You might have created micro content before and didn't even realize it. But if we were to define micro content by its benefits, it would be more interactive and engaging than slides or static PDFs. It's quicker to produce. That's supposed to say quicker to produce than web pages, but it's quick to produce, even quicker than a full web page. You have complete creative freedom in how the layout appears and how the page functions, versus something like a page builder in your CMS or in your Wix website or something like that. A lot of times using a page builder, you're constrained to certain blocks and certain types of things you can add. When you create micro content, the limits are completely taken away and you have complete creative control on how you create your content. Micro content also, one of the big benefits is it allows insights and analytics into the viewing and usage of your experience and how people are engaging with it. Something that oftentimes slides or PDFs and that kind of stuff just doesn't allow you to see. And most importantly to me is the flexibility in sharing and producing, which producing apparently has been cut off on this. This slide's just a piece of work, isn't it? This slide is having as many issues as my webcam is today. But so micro content can be shared individually. It can be embedded on a web page. It can be embedded in your CMS. It can be put anywhere. So it's really flexible. It's just a bite-sized, really punchy and impactful piece of content that's very universal and can be used for a variety of use cases. So let's look at some examples of micro content. First off, the Saros welcome box. You've probably seen this at some point in your Saros journey, right? I'll open it up here. This was created by the Educate team. The whole point of this experience was to give new and returning Saros users just a awesome little learning experience where they could dip their toes in Saros, kind of get a feel for what it's all about and learn the basics of using it. So it's something that we didn't really need like a full web page for, we didn't need a full course for, but just something right in the middle, right? So we created a piece of micro content to do just that. You open it up and there's these main tabs here. They open up various videos, various interactive elements here, like the studio in 5 steps. This one's a little bit more about editor. You can open and experience an editor and start learning. And then on top of all of that, you have a tab here with an overlay. This is important because it'll come up later. An overlay with additional resources, right? You can go straight to the Educate site, learn about the asset library, and a bunch of other really cool stuff. The Saros Welcome Box has been an awesome tool for the Educate team in helping people get acquainted with Saros before joining a course or a training or something like that. It's just a bite size. That's all there is to it. Just micro content, right? We've embedded this on pages. We've shared it individually. It's been in emails, all that kind of stuff. So really, really good example of micro content. Now let's look at some examples from our amazing Educate community members. First off is Anna's recent experience in the Visuals and Digital Layouts course, Misconceptions About Introverts. Anna is one of our all-star community members, and this is a recent design of hers. I asked her if we could share it. And this is just a really cool, very visual, bite-sized informational piece about introverts and misconceptions that go along with them, right? So fun fact, she actually hand drew all of these illustrations herself. But as you can see, it's not a full web page. It's not a slide deck. It's just a little piece of micro content that gives you nice little bits of information about introverts, how to work with them, how to collaborate with them, and some things that you might not understand about them that make them incredibly powerful allies. It's a really cool job here, Anna. Again, it's just a single page, right? Not a whole lot going on, and that's all it needs to have going on. It's a piece of micro content, something that could be easily sent out in an email. Let's say Anna was doing a campaign about introvert awareness, and this is something that could easily be shared out and help people understand some of the misconceptions. So amazing work, Anna. Love it. Another one is Enrico. In the same visual and digital layouts course, he created this awesome one about the hidden costs of salmon farming. Very similar. It's a very short, punchy, informative page about salmon farming and the impact that it has. As you can see, it's just a grid of information blocks with really cool, simple animations, awesome visuals. And it's not over designed, right? It's just a little bit of micro content that could easily be shared, easily be distributed amongst users or learners or whatever. So, and then a little CTA here at the end. Yeah, the graphics are really, really cool. I love this one. Like, he did an amazing job with all the colors here. So really cool. Again, it's just a simple but incredibly effective piece of micro content that can be used in a variety of ways. Let's look at Kaylee's. This is her experience from a recent interactive content creation course that she completed. It is, so the story behind this one is Kaylee's a big fan of the band Paramore, and their website sucks on purpose. And so Kaylee took it upon herself to create a better one in a piece of micro content. And so we'll load this one up and take a look. So amazing job here, Kaylee. As you can see, we've got the band here with these little highlights, the kind of hotspots that show the different band members. We've got this awesome little carousel that's really interactive, really engaging. Here you can listen to the new album on various streaming services. An awesome little video banner back here, and she's embedded the album, the Spotify embed code album right here. So you can click this and start listening to it. And then, most importantly, she's got the tour dates. You can buy your tickets. Paramore, if you happen to be attending, making it stick with micro content webinar today, Kaylee's your girl. But a really, really good, simple, just piece of micro content that could be used in a variety of ways and can be distributed in a variety of ways. And it's just really simple to follow, really simple to consume and use. So amazing work, Kaylee. Some of you might remember this experience. It's the Saros pilot overview experience that was created by the Saros creative team. This one is really, really, this is more actually of a micro site, but it's still considered micro content, right? There's a lot more to this one than the other ones that we've looked at, but it still fits in the micro content category. So this just is an overall overview roadmap sort of experience that outlines everything that is a part of the Saros pilot program. So when you start your 30-day trial, trying to figure out if Saros is a right fit for you, you'll get into contact with your pilot account manager, and they will show you this experience with this really cool timeline, Some really cool little sections here, like these little flip cards, a little tab menu with various little pieces of information, some questions and whatnot, right? And then we've got this menu bar up here that takes you to different sections on this one page. So it's a big scrolling page. And as it got bigger, the design team realized that it was probably a good idea to have this scroll to position nav bar up here that just scrolls you to different sections of the page. But it's a piece of micro content that outlines everything that is a part of the pilot program at Saros. And it's a lot more engaging and easier to use than a long slide deck would have been, right? Like imagine if all of this was just a bunch of slides. They found a really good use case for micro content, and this is heavily utilized by the pilot account team. Here's a little tab menu for more on the products within the Saros suite, some questions and next steps. Really cool. So there are 4 basic but really, really amazing examples of micro content that I have seen recently that really, really caught my eye. I loved all these experiences, and I thought they would be really good. They would be really good examples to share to kind of help you get an understanding of what is considered micro content, because there's a whole lot of stuff that you can create within Saros, and micro content is just one of them. So amazing work, everybody who made these things. All right, so let's get into what we are actually here to talk about today, is making it stick with micro content. And we're going to go over a sort of story or a use case of Saros using Saros and micro content as a part of our workflow. So I've put together a little storyboard to help visualize the context and the background information that you need as a part of this. So meet Adam. Adam is the VP of channel here at Saros. And what that means is his team helps those Saros users who are in agencies or publishing accounts or that kind of stuff, right? So Adam had a really good idea that he and the agency team would like to put on some webinars to spread awareness of the benefits of using Saros as a part of an agency business. And so he got in contact with Liana, who you all know, who runs community and webinars on the Educate team, and said, Liana, we've got an idea. We want to do some webinars. And so Liana, Adam, and the agency team all did some brainstorming together to come up with the good ideas, come up with the dates of when they wanted to do their webinars. They decided they would do 3 of them on various topics, but they would all kind of work together in a larger strategy to help people understand the benefits of Saros in agency and how to better incorporate them into agency. So after they got all that brainstormed and figured out, Liana added the webinar registration to Educate. And from there, they hosted 3 absolutely killer webinars. And they were a phenomenal success. Nice job, Adam and team. And usually that's kind of how it goes. When other teams want to work with Educate to do webinars, that's how it goes. They come to us with an idea. They brainstorm the idea with Liana. We get it on the page. And then voila, we run webinars. Job well done. However, this time around, Adam and the agency team realized that they did an incredible job, which they did, and they wanted to utilize the awesome content that they had in their webinars to further reinforce the ideas that they talked about to people who attended those webinars, but also use it as material for prospects of Saros who work in the agency field, who could also benefit from seeing some of the awesome bits of information that they included in their webinar. So they thought we should create a piece of micro content that encapsulates the 3 webinars that we did and really kind of streamlines but showcases everything that we talked about. And so they kind of did some brainstorming, and they decided that their micro content should serve current clients of Saros that they work with, as well as perspectives. It should also highlight key information from the webinar series, because there's probably 3-ish hours of content all together here. So that's a lot of stuff to dig through. So if we could find a way to just highlight the key points and distribute those and relay that, that would be amazing. And also it needs to be short, sweet, and easy to consume. Seems like a job for micro content. So after they kind of came up with this idea, they got back to Liana and said, can you help us create this piece of micro content? And Liana said, absolutely. So Liana then got with Alex on the Educate team, who is our multimedia designer, And Alex began to brainstorm with Liana how to formulate this piece of micro content based on the agency team's needs. So Alex started to do a quick mock-up of kind of how it would outline in studio and made some good progress there. She then sent it over to me to ask for any input or feedback that I might have. Fortunately, around that exact same time, I had just created a fancy new template for a course that we were teaching, the Non-Designer Central Design. If any of you were a part of that course, you probably use this template. And so I thought, Alex, this is a great start. We have this awesome template that seems to be perfect for what the agency team is trying to solve with their micro content. So I gave Alex the template, and then she started to apply everything that the agency team wanted into the template, did a few iterations, made this really cool experience, sent it over to Adam and the rest of the team to see what they thought, did a few rounds of feedback and iterations, and then voila, it was finished. And that's what it looked like. So we're going to take a look at this real quick, but I just want to give you this long outline of how we got there and how our two teams collaborated back and forth, worked together both on the webinars and then on the follow-up experience that's going to help make the content that they covered stick, because it'd be a real shame for them to put all this effort into these webinars, this event essentially, and then just kind of have it go out into the ether. But if we could really make it stick with micro content, that would be awesome. So here's what it looks like. Unleashing agency power. So again, the whole idea here, based on the needs of the agency team, was they wanted an experience that highlighted the key parts and little nuggets of information throughout all three of the webinars. It's something that needed to be easy to consume, easy to share to both people who are current agency clients at Saros and perspectives as well. Maybe they attended the webinar and we wanted to reiterate the things that they learned, or maybe they registered for the webinar, but they didn't show up. And so this is an easy way for us, like, hey, this is what we covered, and this is how Saros can work for you. So what Alex did here, she used the template and she used this sort of bento grid of thumbnails and tabs here, and she organized them per webinar. So this is webinar 1, this is webinar 2, this is webinar 3. She then has a quick takeaway box here in this other little grid box that has little quotes from one of the fireside chats with Dana from Unreal Digital Group, who is an agency client of Saros, and just pulled her quick little nuggets of information here, key takeaways. And then, of course, a button, Keep Learning, which links to the Saros welcome box, which we talked about before. So when you click on any of these, it opens up a pop-up. And here, Alex has included cuts. So I'm sure some of you have seen our cuts before, but what we like to do is when we host a webinar, Alex then takes that webinar and cuts it up into little bits of content. So instead of having to watch the full hour-long webinar to get to the one section that you wanted to watch, Alex does you the favor of cutting it up into little bits and posting on the website of Educate so you can watch it independently. So what she has done is she's taken the cuts for each of these different sections and put them in a little overlay. So you can click on here, cycle through the different cuts, and really streamline the viewing process for the webinar series, and just highlighting the main things that the agency team wanted to point out to returning users and prospectives as well. You click on here, this is just an embedded video, and you can see some of the magic going on.
When I think about speed,
that's Kevin.
Think about like a fast race car. You don't want.
But yeah, so you kind of get the flow, right? Each of these has a hover state, which is a description of what the webinar was, and you click on it and you can see the various little bite-sized cuts from the webinars. So this was really, really crucial in helping distribute this information without sending people 3 hours of webinar. And it's packaged up very nicely in a nice little experience. This is all they have to interact with, so it's really easy to consume. And of course, linking to other experiences. And we actually utilize the asset library, which recently just came out, with some of these components. So you can see that there's a lot of visual design that is shared between these two components. This actual overlay is the same overlay that we use here. So we just use some components in the asset library to make the creation of this a lot more simple. So that is the experience that Alex created with Liana and the agency team. So to kind of recap how this all went, was there was an event that took place. For us, it was a webinar series. For you, it could be anything, some sort of event. And then we distilled the information from that event into a piece of micro content, which could then be leveraged to gain further reach and engagement for the content that was covered in the event. So a lot of times we think of Saros experiences as the one source for a piece of content, right? And so a lot of times when we do that, we trap ourselves in not utilizing Saros quite as much as we possibly could because we don't understand the other ways that we could leverage it. So you might be thinking, well, if I do webinars, there's no sense in creating an experience outside of maybe the deck. However, that's not true. You could create a follow-up experience to help make it stick with micro content. All right, so that is the experience. That's how we kind of got to where we are. So let's look at the experience. Let's look at the experience in Studio and kind of see how we pulled from the template to get to where we got to. So I'm going to open it here in Studio, and I'm also going to open my admin here so I can open the template. So we can kind of look at the two and see how Alex got here. So here it is, right? Hotspots and everything. This is what Alex created. And this is the template that she worked from. So there are some big differences that you can see, right? But the basic structure and outline of the layout is exactly the same. So she saved quite a bit of time by just taking this and adapting it. If we preview this one, you'll notice that it has hover states, but it doesn't actually have any pop-ups. And so that's why she went, so you see, we click here, we come down. That looks pretty familiar, right? So there's these hover states, which were, this is a content hub template. So it wasn't meant to be a piece of micro content, but she adapted it to be exactly what she wanted. So this one links to something else, just like this one links to something else. She deleted the middle square here and just expanded this one and added the carousel. But it's in its bones is the exact same experience as that one. And then if we were to open the asset library, you can see all of the things that Alex used as a part of her experience. So it made it really, really easy for her to adapt to this content and create something entirely new. Yeah, so she saved a lot of time. She saved a whole lot of time. And we were able to get this experience out for the agency team really quick. So I just wanted to give you a quick little look into how it all kind of went down. So here we've got the hotspot that is over top of the tile here, right? And then there is also a separate tile which appears on hover. So if we take this hotspot, for example, let's see, let me actually open the preview here. So this is a scroll to position interaction, right? We go down, and as you hover, you can see that we have this hover state. And so what Alex actually did here is there is a separate group that is the hover state. And so with this hotspot on hover, it'll show the hover group like that. And so that's how she did those things. And then on click, it'll show harnessing pop-up. And you can see here in this pop-up folder, she's got the harnessing pop-up. So when she clicks on this hotspot here, it'll show the pop-up. And then within the pop-up, she's got this, here, let me open the group here. You can see she's got all of this stuff in here, and she's got an embedded video right here. So you can see the embed code for the video, just slap right here in the pop-up. And she's done a very good job of organizing this. So all of the embedded videos, as you can see for each of these, is in the same group. And so that means there is a hotspot on each of these tabs. And when you click on one of these hotspots, let's say this one, and you go to the interactions. Wait, I'm not on it. There we go. You go to interactions on click. Here's all of the things that takes place when you click on this one hotspot. But really what that accumulates to is, oh, it's frozen. Hold on, let me reload. What that accumulates to is toggling through these. So clicking this hotspot does a few things. It shows this video, it hides the other videos, and it changes the state of the square from white, which is its default state, to its click state, which is gray, signifying that this is the one that has been clicked. So you can draw that visual connection between the clicked tab here and the video that is being shown. So pretty clever on Alex's part. Good job, Alex. Yeah, so if I go back to this, click on it one more time. So on click, it changes the target shape, and then it shows the video. So amazing work. And then if I were to hide this pop-up, and I come to this one, this is a very simple hotspot with the interaction of on hover, it changes the target state of this square to its hover state, as you can see, hover. And then on click, it opens up the Studio welcome box, or the Saros welcome box. So the thought there was, if this is a new user who doesn't really know anything about Saros, but is interested, and they're an agency client, they could go through this and learn more about how Saros could apply to their work, to their industry, their career, yada, yada, yada. But they don't really know too much about Saros. They could click here to learn more about it, get a feel for Studio and for Editor, and kind of how the suite of products works as a total package of their discovery with Saros. So that was included with the intent of prospective clients in mind. Also, some current clients need a little refresher on how to use Studio. So that's why the welcome box is there. Cool. All right. So in a recap, somewhere here again, we had an event. Your event might not be a webinar. It might be an email campaign. It might be an actual in-person event. It might be a product launch. It might be an anything. But somewhere you will have an event. You can use micro content to reinforce that event and increase the reach that that event has and the engagement that your users or audience has with that event by distilling information, maybe giving that little bits of nuggets of information, or maybe if it's like a product launch or a new feature or something like that, you can highlight the key components of that feature in your micro content. So it's something that can always be utilized no matter what it is that you're doing. So that was kind of the basic flow that we went through here with the Saros agency team and the Saros Educate team. We then took this template, which we will hand out to you in just a moment, and Alex adapted it into this design and saved a hell of a lot of time creating content by just being able to adapt this template. Something that could easily have been done in editor, but of course she did it in Studio. So, and that is how we got to here. This experience has been really, really helpful for the agency team. And it's been able to bridge that gap, which they were looking to bridge. It reduced the amount of heavy lifting that they needed to do through emails, through calls with clients, through posts, you know, all that kind of stuff. This just really helped bridge that gap in a very simple way. So amazing work, everybody. It looks like we got a question. What makes the experience a micro content and what makes it a micro site? I'm a bit confused. That's a really good question. So if we go to this one right here, right? And I kind of think of micro content as the more general term, and a micro site is a subcategory of micro content. But I think of micro content as something that's not necessarily laid out like a site, right? If you think about a site, it usually has a few things. One is navigation, and two is multiple pages. So this one, for example, has a cover page, which kind of counts as a page, but not really. And then it just has its one main page. So there's not a whole lot of navigation. There's not like a nav bar that takes you to the different, maybe a product page, an about page, and a contact us page. None of that kind of stuff, right? It's just one simple page. There's not even a scroll on this one that has links to various content and maybe a pop-up that also links to other content. Like this takes you to the video on the Educate site, that kind of stuff, right? So micro content is just short, punchy, quick content. A micro site, if we go back to, oh, that was the one, right? This teeters more along the lines of a micro site, but it's still considered, I would say, micro content, because there is a whole lot of information going on here, but it's still just one page, right? So this nav bar up here takes you to different sections of this same page. But if this were to take you to completely separate pages up here, it kind of works as a pseudo website, right? You've got a lot more content that can just fit on one page. You need to break off into different pages, and you have this website style navigation that takes you to those different pages. I would kind of consider that a microsite. If we look at Kaylee's example again, right? She's got this menu here, but again, it only scrolls to different positions on the page. If these were to go to different pages, it would be more of a site rather than a piece of content. Same with Enrico's, and then same with Anna's, right? Simple, it's one page. Some of them have like a cover page, but really it's just a bite-sized piece of content that encapsulates a single topic rather than a bunch of pages accumulated together. So there's your long-winded answer, but that's a really good question. Oh, Liana has sent a example of a good. Oh, it doesn't even work. She tricked us. We're going to load it again. Maybe it works now. There we go. Okay, you can use the type drop down. Select between the two. All right, where's the type drop down? Try this. Oh, she sent me another one. That one. Oh, that just takes to the home page. Okay, yeah. So let's look at some, right? So we'll look at a microsite first. I've not actually looked at these, so I don't know what they are. We're going to discover them together. You see how much more content is on this? Like, that's a lot of content, right? Where does this go? Nowhere, because it's a template. So I would consider this a microsite, but it still teeters between micro content and a microsite, or yeah, a microsite, because it's all on one page. But considering how much content is in here, it could be considered a microsite. So if we look at micro content on our Inspire page now, how about this one? And that's all there is to it, right? Just these hotspots. One page, really hyper-focused content instead of a variety of content, multiple pages covering multiple things, like an about page, a contact us page. You know what I mean? It's a really good example. How about this one? Oh, is this the pasta builder one? It is. Do you like pasta or tacos better? I feel like I definitely eat more tacos than I do pasta. Yeah, exactly, right? Pasta tacos, Chelsea? I don't know if you've actually tried that before, but imagine putting this in this. Taco pasta? Okay, now we're just getting crazy. The real question is, do you like hard shell tacos or soft shell tacos better? I'm all about the soft shell. Oh yeah. It's not even a question, right? Does anyone even eat these? Because you take one bite and it just crumbles. And it's all over your lap. It's all over your plate. It's all over the counter. Hard shell is good though every now and then. Have to be in the mood for it. I don't know if I've ever been in the mood for it. All right, so then let's build our taco here. That's why you do hard shell inside a soft shell. Wow. Okay. That sounds like some Taco Bell kind of stuff. Ooh. With cheese or bean. Okay. I'm getting real hungry now. All right, so that was a long answer to the question, but the main difference I would say is a microsite acts as a website. It's just a much smaller version of it. And a micro content has a singular purpose that does a singular thing that doesn't have a bunch of pages like a microsite might have. If we go back to the Saros Educate page, Pat on the Saros Educate team, actually, hold on. I'm so sorry. I'm getting really distracted, but I've always wanted to do this, which is to watch our webinar while we're watching our webinar. Pages like a microsite might have. If we go back to, wow. All right. So Pat has done this really good video here. That's the top 5 ways to embed micro content. So if you want to learn a little bit more about micro content, it is right here on the homepage, and you can go figure out the various ways that you could incorporate micro content into your workflow. But that is just one that I wanted to cover, and a really cool use case that Saros had for webinar reception. A really cool use case that Saros had for using micro content. That was a success story. We made a really good piece of micro content that had a few interactions, but it covered one main thing, which was our event, right? That piece could be embedded in a website. It could be embedded in a microsite actually, and shared in various ways. So does embed codes work in PowerPoint? That, Brenda, I have no clue. I haven't made a PowerPoint in a long time, but I bet it does, right? Does anyone know? I don't know. That's a good question. We usually just build our presentations or our slides in Saros itself. I usually just make these in Studio. So haven't used PowerPoint in a very long time. I've never tried to embed it, but that is another really good use case. I've searched and troubleshooted, but I can't find a solution. You know what? We'll try it out and we'll get back to you. See if we can figure it out. But if it does work, that's another really good use case, right? Like maybe you make an interactive piece. Maybe you have this exact piece that we created here, and you want to use it as a part of a other presentation. That's an easy way to distribute that piece of micro content outside of what you're normally doing. So amazing. Thanks for that question. We'll look into it and we'll get back to you, Brenda. All right. Any other questions before we go ahead and distribute out this template? If not, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my templates and I'm going to copy an import link for this template, and I'm going to post it here in the chat. That link right there is yours. You can open that. It'll import the template directly into your Saros account, and then you can use this for a variety of ways for anything coming up. This was a portfolio, like a content hub type of template. But again, we use it for the micro content for the agency team. So you can use it in a variety of ways. Just helps save a lot of time when creating new experiences. So, all right. That is all that we have to cover today. If there's no other questions, I will let you go. Thanks for joining. This has been awesome. If you do have any other questions, feel free to ask us in the community. If you have any problems with this template, again, reach out in the community. But yeah, just one quick way that we wanted to demonstrate of Saros, using Saros and creating an awesome piece of micro content. So thanks for stopping by. We're glad you made it, and we'll talk to you in the next one.